YouTube, what's up, baby? We are back and we have some real content for you guys today. We officially have some official bets, the first bets of the season. We don't have to do any of this made-up content anymore of speculation or this goofy thing or that. We actually have real bets that we made today, and I can't wait to get those out to you guys so we can look forward to this season. To anyone that's new here, if this is your first time seeing me, let me give you a 30-second pitch on why you should care what I have to say, why you should listen. Last year I started this channel. We hit at 63%, a 63% win rate. Guys, if you know anything about pro betting, and I'm not claiming to be a pro bettor, I'm just a guy that's passionate about this, that would love to turn this into something one day. But pro bettors try to hit at 55%. We hit at 63% last year, so huge margin we had. Hoping to continue that momentum this year. And that's it. So if this is your first time seeing me, I highly recommend liking the video and subscribing, or else I might disappear from your algorithm forever and you'll be stuck tailing some losers. So let's get into it, guys. Let's go. So our first bet of the 2025 NFL season, and let me preface this, guys, this is going to be future bets. I didn't do futures last year. I never thought I would do futures bets because in my head, the way I like to play things is I like to go into things expecting the win. And with futures, a lot of the time you're getting value, but you're not really sure, you're not really expecting the win. You're kind of hoping that low percentage chance hits in your favor and you get a big payout. So I figured out a way to do it to where I do expect to win. So let me give it to you guys. Our first bet of the 2025 season is the Washington Commanders to win the NFC East at plus 180 odds is what I got. And I'm putting 0.5 units on that. So these are small plays. Usually when we bet normal stuff, we're betting 1 unit. Sometimes we might bet 2 units. For these futures, for this one specifically, 0.5 units. So it's going to be smaller because it's not as high percentage of a play. But I do think there's value there with the plus 180 we're getting. I personally feel like we're getting around 50-50 odds of this actually hitting. Giants are a shit show. Cowboys, they just lose Micah Parsons. Dak's coming off an injury. First-time head coach. There's a chance that they're bad this year. Would be surprised if they end up being really good. And the Eagles is obviously the favorite of this division. They just won the Super Bowl. Everybody's high on the Eagles. But guys, everybody's missing a major thing here. What happens when you win the Super Bowl? You lose a ton of good players because everybody wants them. The Eagles lose Darius Slay, one of their best corners. They lose Milton Williams, was an absolute monster in the Super Bowl. They lose Josh Sweat, who was an absolute monster in the Super Bowl. They lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson, another really good corner/safety. Those are 4 huge pieces just off the top of my head. And so here's the thing. Everybody, the last image they have in their head is the Philadelphia Eagles being up 34-0 on the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And in their head, it's like, oh, that's the best team ever. Yeah, they were really good last year, don't get me wrong. But I think their perceived value is way higher than it actually is. And the Chiefs finally got exposed for not being that great of a team. And not, the Chiefs squeaked by all year, and then they finally got exposed in the Super Bowl a little bit. But if you look at Philly's playoff run, they play the Packers the first game. If you look at the score, it's like, oh, they won by a decent margin. Yeah, but they also got a little lucky. First play of the game, Packers are running out a kick return and the more on fumbles. And if I remember correctly, it really wasn't a fumble, but they gave it to Philly anyway. That changes the whole game. That's like a free touchdown to start the game. It's like a free pick 6 to start the game. So basically game over when it started there. Then you look at their game against the Rams. They really should have lost that game probably. But if I remember correctly, the Rams shot themselves in the foot. I believe they fumbled. I think the Rams had that game basically in their pocket, and then I think Kyren Williams might have fumbled once or twice, and I think turnovers like last second ended up giving Philly that late run to win the game. But yeah, that was a really close game, and I don't even think, and I'm a Rams fan, and I don't even think the Rams were that good. And then in the conference championship, they beat the Commanders by a big margin. And here's the thing, everybody's they're gonna say, oh, Philly's so much better, they killed the Commanders. No, they didn't. They were very fortunate. It's not like they were just stopping Jaden Daniels every time off skill. You'd have to weigh skill versus luck. And there was a lot of luck in these games. Like I told you with the Packer game with the fumble. In the Commanders game, I believe there were 3 fumbles, non-Jaden Daniels related fumbles by the absolute morons on the team, whether it's a skill position or a special teams, whatever it was. 3 fumbles, I believe, went Philly's way that game. Again, that's a free win. Had nothing to do with Jaden Daniels. Had a lot to do with luck. I'm not saying they wouldn't have won or couldn't have won. I'm just saying these results are skewed to making them look better than they actually are. And I think worst case scenario, there are 50-50 between Commanders and Eagles. I personally think the Commanders are a decent amount better than Philly. That's just me, though. I think Jaden Daniels is basically the next Lamar Jackson here, and very, very high. I think he's even higher IQ when it comes to passing. He's also very high IQ and mobile and knows when to run as well. So I think he's got everything. I'm sure some people are worried about sophomore slump. I personally look at it as an opportunity to buy low on Jaden Daniels before he proves himself year after year, and he has that premium on him like a Lamar Jackson where you're like, oh God, you can't even bet him because it's like the guy's basically an MVP every year. Everybody's betting them. The odds are too crazy. Right now, I still feel like there's decent value on the odds where it warrants a bet to grab him and grab the Commanders to win the NFC East. And remember, I got it at, you probably could get better odds than me if you shop around, but I just bet with one book. So plus 180 odds is what I got, and 0.5 units is the play, okay? All right, our second play, and this is going to surprise a lot of you guys, and a lot of you guys probably aren't going to want to take this play, which, again, you never have to take my plays. I'm just documenting this because it's what I like to do. We are going with the Atlanta Falcons to win the NFC South at plus 190 odds. We are also taking the Falcons to win the NFC Championship at plus 2,800 odds. And we're also taking the Atlanta Falcons to win the Super Bowl at plus 6,000 odds. Okay, I know this sounds crazy, but hear me out. Yes, I agree, this is a riskier play. But most people have the Falcons as a really bad team because most people don't think Michael Penix is going to be very good. And here's where it gets tricky. I was very high on Penix coming out of college. I thought the Giants messed up. They should have drafted him instead of Malik Neighbors, and they would have had him already. But Atlanta snags him to back up Kirk Cousins last year, and he ends up playing the last 3 games of the season after Kirk Cousins goes on a skid, coming off a season-ending injury the year before. In those 3 games, contrary to most people's belief, I believe Michael Penix and that Atlanta offense was rolling. I think they were one of the best in the league. I thought they looked great, and that was his first 3 games as a starter. That was just him starting in the league. Thought he looked great. The 2 losses he had, he only won one of those 3 games, so I know that sounds bad. Those 2 losses were both in overtime. So it's not like he did really bad and they went 1-2. No, he won 1 game big, and then the next 2 they lost in overtime. So you look at the actual data and the stats from those games, I thought he was really, really good. But here's where it gets tricky. The sample size is so small. It's only a 3-game sample size. So I'm not going to bet. Oh, and I didn't clarify this. I need to clarify this right now. So for the division, the Falcons to win the division, we did 0.5 units, same as Commanders, right? For the conference championship and the Super Bowl, we're doing 1/10 of that each. So 0.05 units for each one, okay? So 0.1 units combined. So it's very, very small bet on the conference and the Super Bowl. I want to make that clear because those are obviously going to be very hard to win. But the value is so crazy that, we just had to sprinkle a little bit on that. So getting back into the video. The sample size for Penix and the Falcons was so small because it was just a few games that, I can't make this a lock. I can't put a ton on this. I have to just play it small and safe, kind of like I did with the Commanders, but even, more so with the conference and Super Bowl picks, just because there's a lot of uncertainty there. It's tricky, though, because the uncertainty is also what makes this a good bet, because that uncertainty is giving us a chance to it's making these odds really, really crazy, because if Penix, let's say he played 10 games, in my opinion, kind of at the same clip that he did those 3, the odds would probably be a lot different because people would be like, oh, this is a really good quarterback. But right now, we're not really sure. I think based on it, he's probably going to be really good. But I'm not sold because it's such a small sample size. So I am finding value in that uncertainty, but But at the same time, I can't bet huge on it because of that same uncertainty. But think of, how crazy the risk to reward is on this. Let's say he does end up being really good. We just got a really good, and this is a loaded offense. They got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, hit or miss with him, Darnell Mooney. But still, this is a team that I believe is on the up. And Michael Penix is that guy. And another sneaky thing about this team, sometimes these starters throughout the year, they might miss 1, 2, 3 games, and that could be all the difference in them making the playoffs, winning the division, losing the division. This is a team where they probably have the best or definitely have the highest paid backup quarterback in NFL history, and Kirk Cousins. If Penix, let's say he's out for a game or 2 or 3, whatever it is, I hope it doesn't happen. But let's say it does happen, you're still probably getting a 40 to 50% chance that they can win these games with him out because they have Kirk Cousins behind him. So that is worth noting as well. There's just a lot to like for me at these odds. Plus 2,800 for the conference, plus 6,000 for the Super Bowl. If we knew, let me give you an example here. I don't remember the exact number, but I believe the Seahawks, it might be the same. They're very similar odds-wise to win the Super Bowl. Sorry, not the Seahawks, the Raiders. Very similar odds-wise to win the Super Bowl as the Falcons. But why would we bet 6,000 on the Raiders when we kind of have certainty of what we're getting? We kind of know what Geno Smith is. We know what Pete Carroll is together. They're an 8-9 win team, 9-8. They're kind of slightly above average, but not higher than that. They're kind of in that middle of the pack. We've seen that multiple years with those two. So watch the Raiders win the fucking Super Bowl after I say this. But with those two, you kind of are like, okay, why would I bet plus 6,000 on them when they're not, there's not some sort of uncertainty there where you're like, oh wow, this team came out of nowhere, they're really good. That's way less likely to happen with them. Or with Michael Penix, we've only seen him for 3 games. There's a lot more of a higher upside that this guy's an absolute stud and one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So if the coin flips and that's the case, then we got unbelievable odds on Michael Penix's value. If it flips the other way, oh well, it's one bet. But here's my overall outlook on making these futures picks for where I'm expecting to win is because, if I was just betting the conference and the Super Bowl, I would expect to lose. I don't think those are going to win. They're small percent. There's no team in the league where if they have the math just doesn't add up for any team to have 50 or greater percent odds to win the Super Bowl. It's a bunch of small percentages, and one of the teams end up winning. But with the Commanders plus 180, with the Falcons plus 190, I do believe one of those two will hit. That is what I truly believe. I'm not saying any of this is a guarantee. I would never say that. But I do believe, if I had to guess, one of the two will hit, and then we're instantly in the profit for our futures. And then any of those conference or Super Bowl bets just become a free roll. There's no risk because we already are up from one of the teams winning the division. And if we do get in a situation where the Falcons do make a conference or a Super Bowl, our odds are going to be so crazy that we can do a hedge against it if depending on the opponent, if we want to guarantee some profit. So it gives us some options. My main thing, though, with this futures bet is we just want either the Commanders or the Falcons to win the division. That's the main thing we're rooting for. Anything else is just icing on the cake. If one of those two teams can win, this was a good bet and it was worth it. But guys, always bet responsibly. Like I said, you're going to see all these losers and psychos on Twitter or wherever else saying 70 unit play, whale play, 50 unit. Guys, do not do that. That's your whole bankroll. We always bet small. That way, if we lose, we're okay. And we know with our odds and our probabilities, time is on our side. So just continue to bet small and let it add up over time. So 0.5 units, Commanders plus 180 to win the division. Falcons plus 190, 0.5 units to win the division. Falcons 0.05 units to win the conference, and Falcons 0.05 units, so very small, a tenth of the size of the division sizing to win the Super Bowl. Okay, guys, I hope that all made sense. If you have any questions or need clarification, drop a comment and I'll get back to you. That's it, guys. Our first bet of the season. Expect more betting content. I'm so glad we could finally talk about real games because if it's not about making money, it's super boring. Who cares? So thank God we have stuff to actually talk about now instead of like, oh, look what this breaking news is. And nobody, it's just dumb. Who cares? This guy gets signed here, that guy gets signed here, whatever. It's all great. And one last note, I know I'm making this too long. I know I went deep on why I don't love the Eagles. I want to talk for one more second why I do like the Commanders. I realized I didn't mention it. Is Dan Quinn is a great coach. Everybody loves Dan Quinn. Made it to a Super Bowl, and great defensive mind. He took over a really bad defense last year, and no, they weren't great defensively last year, but with a defensive guy like Dan Quinn, I expect that to get better year by year. So I do think we'll see some improvement in that department. And very important to note, Cliff Kingsbury, the play caller and OC for Jaden Daniels, very tricky play caller to deal with. Perfect guy for Jaden Daniels to, scheme up RPOs and all this kind of stuff. He probably could have left and became a head coach again or went somewhere else, or probably head coach at college, whatever he wanted to do. He decides to stay with Jaden Daniels. So Jaden Daniels keeps his play caller. That's huge to me and a big reason why I like this. Same with Penix. He keeps the same OC that he looked good with for those 3 games. And similar situation with Raheem Morris, defensive-minded coach. They weren't great their first year taking over bad defense. I expect that to get better year by year with a defensive guy at the helm. Just wanted to add those quick notes in. But that's it, guys. That's the end. I'll probably put the bets in the description. That way you can get a visual of it as well. And that's it, guys. Leave me a like, a comment, whatever. And please subscribe. It's so hard to get subscribers. I'm not part of a Barstool network or any network where everybody just gets free followers. I'm just grinding these videos out on my own. So please, if you guys could like this video, if you got this far, you obviously got something out of it. Just do me a favor and subscribe. And that's it, guys. Follow me on Twitter. That's where I post these sooner than YouTube. It's just way easier to put everything out. I'll put that in the description as well at Karras Football. I think it's Karras Football. Either Karras Football or Nick Karras Football. I always forget. That's it, boys. Let's have a good one. Peace.